All right, let's get right into it. So, you're passionate about science, you love figuring out how the world works on a molecular level, but you've hit a crossroads: chemistry or chemical engineering. Now, they sound almost the same, but trust me, they lead to completely different worlds. So, which one is right for you? Let's break it all down.
You know, this quote just nails it. It really does feel like a fork in the road, and picking a direction is a pretty big deal. In this explainer, we're going to be your guide. We're going to give you the map to navigate that choice, really looking at the core differences in how you'll think, what you'll learn, and yeah, what you'll earn in 2026 and beyond.
So, let's kick things off with a classic way to picture this: the lab coat versus the hard hat. I know, it's a simple metaphor, but honestly, it perfectly captures the fundamental split between these two incredible fields.
At its heart, chemistry is the science of molecules. It's all about discovery. It's about understanding why reactions happen and even creating brand new substances from scratch. Chemical engineering, on the other hand, well, that's the science of machines and processes. It takes that amazing discovery and asks, okay, this is cool, but how can we make tons of it on a massive industrial scale, safely and without going broke?
And this right here just shows you the mind-blowing difference in scale. A chemist might have the best day of their life creating a few grams of a breakthrough compound in a flask. For a chemical engineer, their job is to then design a system that can pump out thousands of tons of it. We're literally talking about going from a beaker to a reactor the size of a building. It's a whole different ballgame.
This huge difference in scale completely shapes your day-to-day life. As a chemist, your whole world is the super-controlled, precise environment of the lab, surrounded by all these high-tech instruments. But as a chemical engineer, you're way more likely to be on a bustling manufacturing site wearing a hard hat, or maybe in a design office planning out the next massive plant.
Okay, so we've seen the different environments, right? But what about the different ways of thinking? Let's jump into how this all translates into the way you'll learn and the kind of mindset you'll need to really crush it in each field.
This is probably the most important question you can ask yourself. Seriously, what gets you excited? Is it the thrill of pure discovery, of finding something totally new that's never existed before? Or are you driven to design, to build, and to optimize huge, complex systems that solve real-world problems? The chemist is the ultimate discoverer. You can think of them as the master chef who's creating a totally new, game-changing recipe at the molecular level. This path rewards some serious patience. You're going to see a lot of trial and error, and a deep, genuine passion for figuring out the why behind everything. The engineer, now they take that perfect recipe and figure out how to build the entire restaurant chain. How do you make that one perfect dish millions of times for millions of people and have it taste exactly the same every single time? This requires a mind that just loves complex, interconnected systems. You're balancing physics, economics, safety, the whole shebang.
And your education is going to reflect this split perfectly. A chemistry degree, a BSc or MChem, is a deep, deep dive into things like organic mechanisms and analytical chemistry. The big focus is on mastering those experimental techniques through hours and hours of hands-on work in the lab.
But an engineering degree? That's built on a rock-solid foundation of advanced math and physics. You'll be spending your time mastering things like thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, and mass transfer. And instead of glassware, you're way more likely to be working with powerful computer simulators to model and design entire factories right on your laptop.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about something that's on pretty much everyone's mind: the paycheck and the purpose. It's super important to understand the financial reality here and how it connects back to what each role is trying to achieve.
When you stack these two careers up against each other, one of the biggest things that stands out is what's called the salary premium for chemical engineers. And this isn't just random. It's directly tied to the scale of the industrial responsibility they're juggling. And that premium translates into this number right here, 25 to 35%. That's a huge deal. On average, that's how much more a chemical engineer can expect to earn over a chemist, especially right at the start of their careers. It's a pretty substantial difference that really shows you how much the market values that systems-level thinking.
And here's what that looks like in actual dollars for 2026. The median salary for a chemist is projected to be around $84,000, while for a chemical engineer, it's up near $122,000. That's a gap of about $38,000 every single year, right at the mid-career level.
And if you look at how a career progresses, you can see this trend holds up. At every single stage, from just starting out to being a senior expert, the earning potential for chemical engineers stays significantly higher. An entry-level engineer can often start at a salary that a chemist might only get to after several years of hard-won experience.
But, it's not all about the differences. Actually, these two totally distinct paths are now coming together to solve some of the absolute biggest challenges facing our planet. Let's take a look at their shared future. And the single biggest force driving this convergence is the global push for net zero. The huge demand for sustainable technologies has created this incredible need for both chemists and chemical engineers to team up and work towards this critical goal.
This is where you see their amazing synergy. A chemist might be in the lab inventing a revolutionary new material for a car battery or a special molecule that can literally pull carbon out of the air. But it's the chemical engineer who has to design the gigantic factories needed to actually produce those batteries for millions of cars and deploy that carbon capture tech on a global scale. One can't succeed without the other.
And don't for a second think these are old-school, dusty fields. Both are becoming incredibly high-tech. By 2026, chemists will be using AI to predict how reactions will turn out, which speeds up discovery like crazy. At the exact same time, engineers will be managing entire plants using digital twins. These are exact virtual replicas of a real-life factory that let them test and optimize everything in real time without ever touching a single valve.
So we've covered the mindset, the money, and the mission. Now let's bring it all back to you, standing there at that fork in the road. Let's give you a clear, simple way to make your choice.
Here it is, your decision checklist. It's pretty straightforward. You should choose chemistry if you are absolutely driven by the why, if you genuinely love the detailed, hands-on work of a lab, and if your dream is a career in research and pure discovery. But you should choose chemical engineering if you love math and modeling, if your brain enjoys thinking about huge, complex systems, and if you're looking for really strong earning potential right after you get your bachelor's degree.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. Neither path is better than the other. They're just different, and we absolutely need both. So you have to ask yourself, what role do you want to play? Are you going to be the one to discover the molecule, or are you going to be the one who builds the factory that uses it to change the world? The choice is yours.